It's time to find out
What Shane
said with Shane Manila.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Middle of July. Camps reporting this week. Fantasy football is going to be here before you know it, but let's not rush it. This week, what I wanted to talk about was a trio of players, 3 players that I think you can get at a discounted rate. The market's not especially bullish on these players. And these players are / bounce back candidates for 2025. Their 24 seasons left something to be desired. And in 2025, I think they could improve upon that. And part of why I like these players is what I think is the cost. And we're going to jump on Dynasty Daddy in a little bit, look up some trades on each of these players just to make sure that I'm not just imagining things and that these players can be gotten for cheap. I don't want to give you one of those videos where someone's like, buy this player low, you go to buy them and they can't be bought low. And I don't want to, give you players that are trash cans and tell you to go buy them low and try to sell you on why some wide receiver 4 might turn out to be something. No, what we're looking for is players that have been either elite or good, very good in the recent past, say like the last, 2 years, obviously not last year, but maybe in the last 2 years. Part of this is a vibe, right? Just put it out there. Certainly I will cite metrics, and you can always look at metrics. You can sometimes make metrics which say what you want them to say. And some people do cherry pick metrics. So with that in mind, I will be cherry picking some metrics that I like that'll support my case because, I want to look smart. So anyway, the first player on my docket, it is Mr. Jordan Love. Jordan Love, last year, my dude finished as the QB 16 in Dynasty. Now, I talked about, he's had elite. We want players that have had elite outcomes in their finish, or at least finishes in their range of outcomes, or they've been elite at one point or another. He was the QB 5 just a year prior in 2023. 2024 was a rough year for Jordan Love. You already know that from the very first week, the game against the Eagles in Brazil, he was injured. His ankle was injured. He had a sprained ankle for quite some time at the end of that game, not during the beginning. So anyway, he ended up as being the QB 16 in points per game. Right now, he's the QB 12 in KTC, and he's the QB 12 in Fantasy Calc. So he's right at that quarterback 1 edge. It could go either way. So again, 16th overall in points per game last year. But he was 13th in EPA per play among quarterbacks. When you remove garbage time, he was actually 11th. So he was a little better than what his fantasy production would have indicated. PFF had him ranked as 12th among starting quarterbacks. His passer rating was 12th overall. He was injured a lot last year, right? Another thing that was an issue last year was the pace of play for Green Bay did fall. And that's obviously going to affect the quarterback when their pace of play falls. They fell from pace of play was 16th in 2023 to 29th in 2024. Some of that obviously probably stems from the fact that they had Josh Jacobs, who had a really, really good year. And if you have a running back that's smashing, you just keep giving him the ball, right? See the Eagles. So you just keep doing that. But part of it, too, was he was just injured all year, off and on. He's not the type of dude that's going to run a lot. But in 15 games last year, he only had 83 rushing yards. In 17 games the year prior, he had 247 rushing yards. And again, it's not a giant. 247 is not a big amount, right? When you break that down on a per game basis, that's only 14 yards per game, So 1.4 fantasy points per game. But when you look at 83 rushing yards, my dude was averaging 5 yards per game last year. So clearly his lower body functionings were bothering him last year, stopping him from running. So I think there's reason to bounce back again. The Green Bay being they went ahead and added another wide receiver in the first round. So they're getting him more help. Christian Watson is obviously going to be missed. But like I said, they did get Matthew Golden in the first round. Let's just see if he actually is cheap on Dynasty Daddy, right? Because if he's not, well, then this is all a moot point. And you'll say, Shane, what are you talking about, you doofus? So here you go. Jordan Love. We're looking in Superflex / 2 quarterback leagues. And starters are 12 team starters, either 9, 10, or 11 starters. Max assets is 8. Dynasty Daddy. So here you see some big old packages. I don't know if I really want to go through those, but like this one, T-Law, Kyle Pitts, Anthony Richardson. On this side, you get Zay Flowers, Jordan Love, Marvin Mims. Kind of feels sideways, if I'm being honest. I prefer the Jordan Love side, but it's not like that's a monster or a smash deal. This one I'm feeling a little more bullish on. DJ Giddens or Rondé Gadsden. Sure. 26 first and a 26 second for Jordan Love. If I need a starting quarterback, I think I'm willing to pay this for Jordan Love. 26 first. If you're using that, it's saying you think he's going to bounce back. So you better believe he's going to bounce back. If you don't believe that, well, then I don't know why you'd be trading for him. Here's a fun one. Someone gave up Ben Sinnott, Alec Iomanor, Jordan Love, Jordan Mason, and Joe Milton for JJ McCarthy. Essentially, it's JJ McCarthy for Jordan Love and a bunch of stuff. JJ McCarthy, I know a lot of people love him. I haven't seen it. So, yeah, just go ahead and give me to Jordan Love. Brock Purdy or Jordan Love, meh, you know. There was a fun one I saw down here. JMO and Michael Penix for Jordan Love. Start 9. I'm probably going to lead Jordan Love. Again, I know Penix had a good 3-game stretch. And then I don't know what this nonsense is. Someone traded a 26 fourth and got Jordan Love, which is just silly. So there's deals to be made, right? That's the point. I'll say this. There's also deals that we didn't see on there that I think people should be trying. And it should be something along the lines of, if you have Drake May, can I trade Drake May in a second for Jordan Love and a first? All right. So Jordan Love is my first dude. Next dude, running back position. Bree Hall. He is currently the running back 10 on Fantasy Calculator. He's behind. It's funny. I'm going to pick 2 players, but he's behind Bucky Irving. Obviously, he's behind 9 other running backs. But at running back 7, these are the most egregious to me. Running back 7's Bucky Irving. Really good rookie season. 14.4 points per game. That's great. You know what I mean? Not bad at all for a rookie. I do have to point out, though, that is 0.7 less than Hall's worst game. 0.7 points per game less than Hall's worst season, which was last year. Bree Hall ended up with 15.1 fantasy points per game. Year prior to that, he was at 17.1, and the year prior to that, 16.4. So he has that elite range. Remember, I talked about we're looking for elite to good in him. My dude was a QB6. QB6. That would be pretty amazing. He was a running back 6 back in 2023. So why is there a reason for hope? Well, we're going to hope that the Jets have better line play, right? They did draft Armand Membu, 7th overall. Now, per PFF, just looking up some fun stats, Membu was one of 2 tackles last season in college to earn an 85-plus grade as a run blocker and a pass protector. I don't really care about the pass protecting, but as a run blocker is what interests me. That's my cherry-picked stat. Ola Fashanu, 2nd year, we would expect that there would be some improvement there, right? So their line in general, it's going to be the 2nd year. I believe Membu is really the only new starter, and he is a very high-end starter. But again, Ola Fashanu in his 2nd season, we would expect him to be better too, right? They got Tyler Enstrang as the OC. Obviously, Aaron Glenn too. Tyler Enstrang, both of those dudes come from Detroit, run-heavy, innovative offense, especially when you compare it to the Jets' offense last year. I don't even know what to call it. Looking at the Jets, they ranked in 24th in EPA per rush last year. That's not good. Some of that might be on Hall. I have a feeling, or at least a thought, that that's more on the team than anything else. They also ranked 17th overall in EPA per pass play. So they just weren't a good offense, period. So hopefully with the new offensive coordinator and improved line, it'll be better. More importantly, right, Bree Hall was a little less efficient last year than he was the year prior, but it wasn't crazy, right? I'm looking at things like using a player profiler. I'm looking at his efficiency from 2023. He had true yards per carry was 3.9. Last year, it was 4.0. Okay. Yards per touch, I might have these backwards. It was actually 5.1 yards per touch. The previous year, 5.3. So just going down the line, the efficiency numbers were fairly similar, as were the volume stats, weirdly enough. He averaged 13.1 rushing attempts per game. We would like to see that go up, right? We absolutely would love to see that go up, but we don't know that it will, because he could be, and there's been, some speculation or some narrative out there that he's going to be in some type of committee with Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen. I just want to point out, last year, he did set a career high playing a snap share at 72%. The year prior to that, he played less than that, 61%. And he was actually a better producer the year before, playing on fewer snaps. His opportunity share actually shot up last year. It went up to, it's up here somewhere. Sorry, his opportunity share last year was 68%. It was 61% the year prior. So it did go up. So for whatever reason, there were some efficiency dips, right? Not big ones. Like, you look at yards per carry. I know that's an antiquated stat. Sorry. 4.2 yards per carry compared to 4.5 the year before. His receptions also took a nosedive. The year prior, he had 76 receptions. Last year, just 57. So that's the biggest thing, is that drop in receptions. You look at that, I'm not great with math. I think that's 19 less receptions. So obviously that's 19 less points if it's PPR, and whatever the yardage was, it was a difference of 108 yards in receiving. So Bree Hall has done it in the past, and I think he will do it in the future. But more importantly, can we get Bree Hall at any type of discount? Now, I talked about him a little last week when I was talking about the running backs that I wanted to buy. I believe that's what that was. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring it up. We'll bring up, that's the wrong screen. So let's go ahead and bring up the Dynasty Daddy screen, not his player profiler screen, although that looks cool. And shout out to player profiler. Just going to grab this here. Give me 1 second. There we go. There's our friend Dynasty Daddy. Bree Hall, same settings, right? We're looking at 12 team, 9 by 10, 11, 9, 10, or 11 starters. I went through this a little bit last week, like I said. Bree Hall and Dalton Kincaid for Justin Fields in a 201. Hello, Bree Hall. Give that to me all day. It's funny they're on the same team. Ooh, today, this is an interesting one. Quinshon Judkins and Kyle Williams for Bree Hall. Just Quinshon Judkins, quick aside. I will say, if I can cash out on Judkins and get that return, Bree Hall, just adding Kyle Williams to it, I'm doing it. I'm not selling him at a loss. I'm just not doing it. If you have moral convictions that you don't want him on your roster, go for it. But that's not how I play the game. Anyway, more Bree Hall deals. Quinshon Judkins and a 26 first for Bree Hall and a 27 second. Quinshon is getting moved a lot. Bree Hall for Trey Benson and a 27 first. Bree Hall for Jatavian Sanders and Quinshon Judkins. Okay. This is the first time I'm looking at this. We now have 1, 2, 3 of the 4 deals that I saw on here are Quinshon Judkins. So here's my idea for a trade. You want to get out on Quinshon? Go for it. Apparently, just offer Quinshon and Jatavian Sanders for Bree Hall. That I'll do. I will absolutely move Quinshon Judkins for that. So if we're in a league together, hit me up. All right, last guy, because I don't want to keep you too long. I promised you I'd be short, but as usual, I start rambling. My apologies. Last guy. And this is a guy that I actually said I was out on. But sometimes when a player's cost dips so low that, you know what, they're just worth getting back in on. And that player is at wide receiver, Chris Olave. First thing you should know about Chris Olave is my dude is a certified target hog. Absolutely. He had a 26.7 target share in 2022 as a rookie and a 25.2 target share in 2023. Last year, not going to talk about it. And that's the rub, right? My dude had a bunch of concussions last year, and he's had them. He's had more than a few throughout his career that makes him, and this is why he's so cheap, there's risk. There is risk there. But if we can find some deals where that risk is mitigated by the cost, I'm all for it. Because again, just looking back at Chris Olave, dude balled out in his second season, 14.5 points per game. You know me, I like ranges. So I went on StatHead and I looked up on StatHead and I used a range 13 points to 15 points. I wanted to get right in that area that Chris Olave is, and very, very specific range, right? I know. So there's been 15 wide receivers total since 2015 through 2023 that scored at least 14.5 points per game as a rookie in that range, between 13 and 15 points. There's been 15 wide receivers between 2015 and 2023. Just going through the list, we've got Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, Steph Diggs, Deontay Johnson, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, then Chris Olave. Those 7 are all, well, Olave excluded, but the top 6 that they gave you, even Deontay Johnson, have all given you very, very, very good seasons. In most cases, multiple seasons. After Chris Olave, it gets a little wonky. There's Jordan Matthews, who actually had some very good seasons in Philly and then fell off the face of the earth and then became a tight end. Mike Evans, stud. Michael Pittman Jr., Cortland Sutton, usable. John Brown. Anyone remember Smokey? He was awesome. Kenny Galladay. Tyrell Williams, San Diego, if anybody remembers him. Shout out to Tyrell Williams. And then Sterling Shepard, if not for injury, Shepard would have been really good. Anyway, and he had a nice little bounce back last year. Not really. He played last year, we should say. I don't know if he had a bounce back. So anyway, Chris Olave's cost. He is the wide receiver 32 right now on Fantasy Calculator. His worst season was his rookie year when he was wide receiver 25 in 2023. He was the wide receiver. Look that up. He was the wide receiver 19. And then 2024, obviously, I'm just disregarding it, man, just based off the injuries. He had to leave multiple games early because of injuries, and the concussions were out of pocket. Just absurd. So you have to hope for health, right? So what we really want to do is find deals that mitigate that risk, right? We don't want to be paying, I guess, what you would consider full price for Chris Olave. So let's see what we can find on Dynasty Daddy. First round draft pick, second. Chris Olave and Trey McBride. Okay, Chris Olave is not the star of that deal, so bye. Chris Olave for a 26 second. I'm in. Devin Neal and Chris Olave for Jonnu Smith and a 27 first. I'm not doing that. Yeah. It's that first, obviously. It's not Jonnu, who I love, but no, I'm not giving up a first for Christopher Olave. Sorry, man. Chris Olave and Elijah Arroyo for Michael Pittman and Kyle Pitts. Yes, please. This deal is kind of wild. 101 for Jerry Jeudy, Chris Olave, and a 105 and a 12 by 10. I don't know about that, bro. I don't like this one. I take the Kyron Williams side. Again, I'm trying to look for deals where we're getting him fairly cheap, Chris Olave, not where we're paying 26 firsts. Again, 26 first. Trey Harris, Emeka Buka, Jaden Blue, Jackson Dart, Kyle Pitts, Chris Olave. A lot going on there. Chris Olave for Michael Penix in the 305 and the 309. Okay, I'll take Chris Olave. Chris Olave in the 27 second and a fourth for Xavier Worthy. I don't know. I probably pass on that. Bo Nix, Calvin Ridley for Chris Olave, Bryce Young, round 3 pick. Marv Mims, Dalton Kincaid, Javon Baker, Justice Hill, Chris Olave, Kareem Hunt. Yeah, so there's not a ton of deals out there. You're going to have to work a little harder, but I think you can do it. I would say I would spam leagues for Chris Olave. I would start with a second and see where we can go from there. If they want another receiver back like Marvin Mims, I could live with that and I would be okay with that. Okay, that's all I got. I went longer than I wanted to as usual because I just can't help myself. My apologies. So who is your buy low bounce back candidate for 2025? Have you traded for anyone on that list? And what was the deal? Let me know in the comments. Please hit like. Please subscribe. If you haven't become a member yet, go ahead and join the ddfantasyfootball.com family. You get access to the War Tool, Trinity Tool. You get access to our Discord and a bunch of other stuff. John's tiers from Dynasty Theory. I don't know why I mentioned that as a side, but that's one of the things you get. So it's awesome. John's awesome. His tiers are awesome. Check out Dynasty Theory. Check out all the shows on the channel. So that is it. Talk to you later. Bye.